Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another NXTGP championship, if my overlay does work, which it does now indeed. Again, I welcome you all to a brand new NXTGP championship here. We're currently viewing the GT3s at the Red Bull Ring because we're in a brand new DTM series. Yes, iRacing has welcomed DTM and so does NXTGP here, and obviously the Red Bull Ring, where we're going to kick off our very first round of the season. My name is David Zutphen. I will guide you through the 20-minute qualifying session and the 55-minute race session here today for, like I just said, the very first race in the championship here. Alright, as I'm doing broadcasting and streaming at the same time, things can get a little bit hectic sometimes here, especially as the game is as my replay is trying to capture the game. But we're back alive here for the very first qualifying session of the season. At this point we're seeing Frenchman Tommy Razere, if I pronounce that correctly. If I do not, please correct me. Driving on the track to well, let's see if he can get a good qualifying lap in. Track limits can get abused here at the Red Bull Ring, especially since, as I finally put my mic to a correct position, especially since the curbs have been updated. Not every driver is happy with the updated curbs here at the Red Bull Ring, but they have to fare with it either way. Slipstream is going to be very important here at the Red Bull Ring, always a key factor in qualifying, but especially in the race. Dennis Blocker has a nice tow ahead of him, and thus he is on pole position. We have a lot of cars on track, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of cars, I want to say roughly, well, let's say 36 car, 35 car. I think we have an entire lobby filled with roaring GT3 cars ready to qualifying right now and ready to race. There is McLaren facing the wrong direction there. I can't quite find which McLaren that was, so we'll just focus on Jorn Pollenus in the number 33 Ford Mustang. It may be a GT3 championship, or well, it may be a DTM championship, but that doesn't mean we are running in a DTM spec GT3, because, well, there's a clear difference between a DTM spec GT3 and a normal GT3. iRacing doesn't have the DTM GT3 spec yet, so we're just racing with the normal GT3s we usually see on iRacing. The man currently in P10, Van Zwijers, currently P12. Can he improve? He can't, at least it doesn't seem so, but the man who can improve, his name is Tommy Razire. He has a nice slipstream right in front of him, and so he's 1/10 quicker of fiercely forward driver Connor C.K. Fransen, if I pronounce that correctly. I'm just going to call him Connor Fransen from now on. Driving fiercely forward from the Netherlands, the driver in the Aston Martin seems to have a good hold on this Red Bull Ring circuit so far. 4.3 kilometers, 7 turns does this Red Bull Ring circuit have. That's roughly 3 turns more than a regular NASCAR circuit, which obviously has 4. Safe to say a lot of straight line speed will be getting used here, and thus the car with, well, probably the best straight line performance will do well at this circuit. Perhaps the Aston Martin is one of those cars. Getting a little bit squirrely off the last sector there, especially the last corner. Is it a better lap for Connor C.K. Fransen? Yes, it is. A 1:28.615 for Connor Fransen. Let's see if we have other people improving. Tommy Razire, can he come across the line? Can he improve? Can he take pole position from Fransen? The answer is no. Another Frenchman, Jeremy Lefile, currently in P3 in his Mercedes. Not far off P2, well, I say far off, it's 4/10 as Porter Silva, a man from Spain driving in a Mercedes GT3, has a lovely tow ahead of him, driving for a VSR competition. It's the number 6, not the number 22, but the orange-blue car that's currently being driven by Porto Silva. He needs to get to the inside of the, well, it looks like the number 20 on this car. So the number 20 would be Richard Martens, currently sitting in P24. Now he is a lovely tow just in front of him from the Spaniard, who's currently sitting in P3. Who's improving once more? Is it going to be the Ford Mustang of Van Zwijers in the 519 GT3? Has a car ahead of him, I'm not sure is enough to get a very good slipstream. Over the line, through the last turn, can the man in P8 improve? Tommy Razard, the Frenchman, does improve. He goes to pole position. Doesn't seem like Van Zwijers improved, but the man currently on pole position, his name is Razard, the Frenchman, takes virtual pole position away from the Dutchman Conor C.K. Franse. I said I would name him Conor Franse. I will do that from now on. Can the man currently in P1 improve even more? That's the question. We'll find out in half a lap time. Dennis Blocker, who's your current leader in the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland here at NXTGP, driving for Project 91 Racing Team in his Porsche GT3. Porsche these days on iRacing, not a popular choice among many GT3s, of course. We have a lot of different GT3s driving here today, but the Aston Martin seems to be one of the best out there. As the entire top 3 currently is well, it's Aston Martin, and Aston Martin. That's probably all you need to know in terms of car performance. Dennis Blocker now, can he improve in his Porsche? Terje Frederiksen, he goes up to P4, still a bit more than 5 tenths away from pole position. Does demote Dennis Blocker to P10, so Blocker needs to get a good lap in with roughly 11 minutes remaining. Blinking his lights, coming through the last corner, maybe picking up a little bit of a tow from that BMW ahead, coming across the line. Dennis Blocker in his Porsche, is it an improvement? Doesn't seem to be, and thus he stays in P10. Gian Zautuella over the line in his Porsche GT3, improves up to P4. Aston Martin behind him, trying to see what car that is. Bit hard to see his number 5. Given I'm doing broadcasting by myself, it sometimes takes a little bit longer. Hudson Hughes, as he overtakes the man in P4 right now, coming all the way from Australia. I'm not sure what time it is in Australia, but I'm not sure it's evening. Surely must be midday for Hudson Hughes, who's taken his spare time to race in this championship, currently P3, so his time being well spent. 2.5 tenths away from pole position. Without a slipstream, can he make something better of the current position he is in? Well, Aston Martin GT3, you can't really go wrong with that, like we're seeing right now in this qualifying session. How will it fare in the race? That's a very good question. We'll see in a bit as he goes in pit lane and does not finishing his lap. Likely Gian Zautuella won't improve as well. Who is improving? Many cars coming through over the line. None improving so far. Well, there you have it. An Australian once more, Aiden Schweikert. Sounds more like a German name, but definitely the Australian flag is there at the bottom left. The Aston Martin in the 508 makes it 4 Aston Martins in the top 4. As he parks his car, as we see a lot of drivers now probably going back on track, trying to warm up their tires, as Dennis Blocker flashing his lights. Well, there the GT3 driver currently in P10 didn't see Blocker, as we see Blocker right now. Blocker won't be very satisfied with that. Probably needs to gun another lap, as Connor Franse comes closer to pole position once more. He's, well, Aston Martin doesn't want to give Franse any slipstream. That's Hudson Hughes. He might benefit from Connor Franse yet if he manages to stay in that 1 second range on cold tires. P18, Cas Heine improves, currently in a Ferrari. Ferrari, well, not doing greatly. The only Ferrari, in fact, is Cas Heine, who we're seeing driving right here. Not another lap, or at least not another improvement for Cas Heine. Gian Zoutewelle gets to P3. The gap to P1 is shrinking. Oh, there goes a BMW off. And we'll catch replay of that right now. Not sure which BMW that actually was. Was it silver driver Laurens ten Oude? Yes, it was, but this was already before. Well, now we know who it was. Laurens ten Oude. Had a little moment there. Gian Zoutewelle just improved. Can he make another improvement? That is the question again. On this 4.3 kilometer long track without any slipstream, it's going to be difficult for the Dutch driver. Currently running in the Porsche GT3, so splitting all the Aston Martins. 2 Aston Martins ahead of him in qualifying and 2 Aston Martins behind him. So it's really impressive what Zoutewelle is trying to achieve right now. And I would be amazed if that wasn't an off-track through turns 4 and 5. Sam Kortlever, the gold driver, improving in his Aston Martin, shooting up to P7. 128.994 is it for Kortlever. Okay, Gian Zoutewelle improve once more. Zoutewelle stays in P3. Porter Silva coming across the line. Again, for VSR competition, well, you will certainly notice Porter Silva in the black and blue Mercedes GT3. And there was bright orange there. P8 currently for the Spaniard. Let's see if he can improve. Certainly he can improve in the race. Mercedes isn't a popular choice after all. Aiden Schweikert, excuse me. P6, can he improve? Behind him, I think that's the number 8. No, that's figuring out which GT3 that was. The Frenchman who's currently leading, Razaire, coming across the line. No improvement, but he stays P1. He has a lovely tow from the car ahead of him. That's going to play out massively for the man in P1. Blinking with his lights. Oh, that's a beautiful slipstream P1 just got there. He's going to say thank you very much from the 508 Aston Martin and keep going with his laps, because this could be a huge improvement for the Frenchman currently on pole position. How long will he stay there? Connor Franse isn't out on track, neither is Gian Zoutewelle. So might qualifying be done then for those two? Hudson Hughes is still there. He's driving right in front of Tommy Razaire. He has a Ford GT3 right in front of him. The Lion GP Ford GT3. I can't really see or know from who that is yet, but surely we'll figure that out. As Hudson Hughes is definitely losing time. It's the 5:15 for GT3. This Michael Smith, who's bailing out now as well. Look at this, Tommy Razaire getting a slipstream from all places, but now Hudson Hughes is really slow. Will this compromise the Frenchman, or is it enough for an improvement yet? Coming across the line, might have been an invalidation out of the last corner, but we'll find out pretty soon. Yes, an improvement for Tommy Razaire. 2 tenths, nearly 2 tenths he improved. does it stays P1, and now he has a great margin. And it's, oh, there goes Michael Smith in the barrier, the Swiss driver, as he gets in pit lane. Well, we'll probably get a replay of that soon. Again, the only Ferrari, because Heine currently in P18. Can he improve? No, P18 he stays the lone Ferrari in the GT3 Championship. Again, if you just joined, welcome ladies and gentlemen to the very first round of this NXTGP DTM Championship. It's, well, you can't really get it more similar than DTM, except the races aren't on the weekends. 8 rounds here in this championship. Every round aligns with the schedule of the real life DTM series, but just driven on Tuesdays, again, instead of the weekend. Jeremy Lefile, the Frenchman in the Mercedes GT3, can he improve? Yes, he can! He can improve. 128.804. Is it enough for a P4? So an improvement for the Frenchman. The answer to that question is a definitive no for that lap. He has one more lap, as the time is ticking down, slowly but surely, here at the Red Bull Ring in this very first qualifying session. Sam Kortlever in the Aston Martin GT3. We're seeing him on screen right here. See what the man in that Aston Martin can do, in the popular Aston Martin. I must address again, because the Aston Martin surely is popular. P1, 2, 4 and 6 currently drive a Aston Martin, so that's more than half of the cars in the top 5 being an Aston Martin. Sam Kortlever on an improvement here. Coming to the last turn, keeping those tyres within track limits. P9 it is. P7 it becomes for Sam Kortlever. Good last qualifying lap for the Dutchman. Is it going to be the Frenchman in the Mercedes of Jeremy Lefile? I hope I pronounced it correctly again. P5 it is. Does it become any more for the Mercedes GT3? Well, an improvement in time surely, but it's again not enough for a position, as Hudson Hughes just came over the line, or at least he did last lap. Almost comes over the line, the Australian driver. He's driving, keeping that Aston Martin flat out. Another improvement, but it's oh so tight within, you know, the top 3, 4 and 5. I think that's 4 thousandths between each driver, 4 thousandths of a second, 400ths of a second I should say. That's absolutely marginal. And in the rest of the field, well, I mean, do the math for yourself. P13 is within a second of pole position, so it's going to be very competitive here at this very first round. So I'd say strap up for the very first race here in this championship. 55 minutes we're going to race, as it's certain Tomu Razair has claimed pole position. A last minute improvement for Porte Silva, the Mercedes GT3 driver, went from P8 to P6, only 4 tenths, also only 4 tenths of pole position. That makes it roughly 3 drivers within, let's say, 7 thousandths of a second, 6 thousandths of a second. Math wasn't my strongest point, but here we are. Qualifying should be roughly done by now, as the timer is on 19:59. It doesn't... Well, we should be really advancing into the next qualifying session, or the next session, which is the race, unless race control has made it so that everyone can drive their lap, which I think is the case. Aiden Swiker doesn't improve. Pedro Fernandez in his, I think that's a Lamborghini GT3, gets to P14. From almost no time for VSR competition to P14. Shot up massively there, and everyone can finish their lap, and everyone has finished their lap. So we'll probably move on to the grid if we can, because qualifying has been done. It's a bit too early for my broadcasting tool. So, yeah, I mean, qualifying should be done now. We should be advancing quite quickly here at the Red Bull Ring, but maybe we have some problems in advancing to another session. The race control will sort that out probably very quickly. And when I get my grid in, we can finally go across that. But for now, it's Tommy Razayer on pole position, very tight at the back of the top 10, in the midfield of the top 10. I think we have a grid. Indeed, we do. All right, well, Razayer is your man on pole position, takes P1, and behind that is Conor Franse for Fiercely Forward Racing, followed by Zoutewelle, followed by Hughes Lefile in P5, followed by Porto Silva, followed by Zwijkert in P7, Kotlever in P8, Lucas Romanu, the Belgium driver, in P9, Frederiks in P10, Heremans in P11, and Postema in P12. As Dennis Blocker in P14, we find Pedro Fernandez in P14, Dennis Blocker in P13. In fact, we're going to have a warm-up lap, so that's great to go through the whole grid. Jamie de Boever in P15, followed by Schoneveld in P16, Skoorstad in P17, and Navarro de Boever finds himself in P18. As we go to P19, Weijers, followed by Heine, Marco Kerkman, who's also driving in our Porsche GT3, the Cup Deutschland, in P21. Ewart van Kruiswijk finds himself in P22, followed by Pirog, Zwemmer, Schmid, Lopez, Lellempsis in P27, Polonus, Huis and Metzler in P30. I think that's not all. Indeed, 37 drivers here. Mulder in P31, followed by Gebuis. Niklas Weller finds himself in P33, followed by Franke, Martens, Hahuri and Ouden in P1. So we'll go back to the grid. And, well, we have a warm-up lap, so that's enough to talk you through the upcoming race. 55 minutes we will drive here at the Red Bull Ring GP circuit, 4.3 kilometer long GP circuit. I touched on the amount of turns again, only 7 turns, so overtaking is critical. The lights are showing on screen right now. I can trust you, the safety car won't race with us, and we'll do a warm-up lap as normal procedure, as they all accelerate now rather slowly to begin their warm-up lap, weaving their tires. Those GT3 machinery needs a lot of temperature in the tires. To achieve that, you have to, well, weave from left to right. There are different and debatable techniques here on iRacing to warm up your tires. The one locks their entire steering wheel, well, 90 degrees, 180 degrees, even more than that, which I think we're seeing with Tommy Razayer here. Some people are only braking and accelerating to get the temperature into the carcass of the car, because tire temperature you can only hold for so long if you're, well, probably driving 60 kilometers per hour. And braking and accelerating and then braking again keeps the temperature in the chassis of the car. But on iRacing, tire temperature is a bit more important than your chassis temperature. Well, surely, especially the people ahead in this championship know this. 55 minutes again, we're going to race here. We have gold classes, we have a silver class and a bronze class as well. If you aren't familiar with those classes here at NXTGP, let me guide you through it very quickly before we start this race. Already halfway the formation lap. So a pro driver must have a minimum of 4,000 I rating, and no less than that. The silver driver needs a minimum of 2,000 I rating and a maximum of 4,000 I rating flat. A pro driver achieves his pro status by achieving a bit more than 4,000 flat iRating, and a bronze driver can only have a maximum of 2,000 iRating, 2K iRating, like we say in the iRacing world. And well, that's how your classes stack up here. A lot of gold drivers, a lot of silver drivers at the back as well. But we're going to keep an eye out on all three classes, but especially this gold class. Tommy Razayer, the number 2 driver on this car, driving with the number 2 as everyone is getting closer and closer, decreasing those gaps. We are getting ready for the very first race here at NXTGP in this DTM championship. When will the Frenchman Tommy Razayer on your right go flat out? And that answer is now. Tommy Razayer puts his throttle down, and at the back, or at least at P2, it's Konosiki France. Just behind them fights for P3. Gian Zauto on the inside, Hudson Hughes on the outside. Tommy Razayer keeps his P1. It's going to kick off here extremely in turn 2. Will we see 3 wide? Sends down the inside for sure. Gian Zauto in the white and blue car on the outside. Can he take advantage of that? It all seems to go rather well now. Everyone leaving each other space. And look at that, Gian Zauto indeed. P2 it is in his Porsche GT3. Very nicely done, overtaking Conor France there, who's needing to look in his rear view mirrors now, as Gian Zauto once again tries it around the outside. That's no doing in turn 3. Almost everyone going single file. GT3, Porto Silva, can he cut across? Jeremy Lafy, the Frenchman, 2 Mercedeses going side by side almost. As Conor France is oh so close to the back of Gian Zauto. When will France make the move? Maybe in the last corner, would be ambitious, would be maybe reckless, given everyone has cold tires. Everyone's trying to survive right now. And that Porsche driver, the Porsche car of Gian Zauto, well faring pretty good on that Porsche GT3, in that Porsche GT3. Abusing the curb a bit more than others. Now he is in a slipstream of Tommy Razayer. You really don't want to be leading at this point, because you have no slipstream. Everyone will be catching up to you unless you're monstrously fast. There goes the Frenchman, Jeremy Lefille, on the inside of turn 2. Almost colliding with Hudson Hughes, door banging a little bit there. Side by side they go through turn 3, in towards turn 3 I should say. Hughes has the slipstream. A little check up there by the Frenchman, but I think the Aston Martin needs to think the better of it, and now gets demoted to P5. Will be demoted to P6 as the Spaniard tries to swoop around the outside of turn 4 there. Can he make it stick the Mercedes GT3? Yes indeed. It's going to be quite ambitious for turn 5 though, and so it was. Can he come back though? Porto Silva. Oh, Hughes now has to defend from Porto Silva. Aggressive, diving down the inside there. And making the move as well. Aggressive from the Spaniard, but making the move stick. And it went relatively clean as well. That's the most important bit. Live stewarding here. So if anything goes wrong, our stewards are right on top of it. But do these two drivers want to be fighting right now? Losing touch with the Mercedes ahead of them. Losing touch means losing slipstream. And if there's one key thing you want with you here, it's the slipstream. Sam Kortlever had a huge moment which will compromise his exit out of turn 1. Now being chased by Romas Lu on the outside. Or will it be Sam Kortlever? Needs to get the traction down there. He does. And so he retains P7 now. Lots of fighting up and down the field, 3 wide behind. Terje Frederiksen is, I think, one of them in the Lamborghini GT3 there. On the inside is Pedro Fernandez. Oh, both touch, and the Norway driver manages to keep it on track just about. I think there was a little tap there with the Boever in the Lamborghini GT3, but it all kicks off here. Oh, the Mercedes GT3, and it all goes wrong for Van Zwijers in the Ford Mustang GT3. There was a touch there. As a lot has happened now, Van Zwijers trying to get himself back on track. Not sure if he can catch a replay of that. So much happened. Switching to P10, Kenny Hedemans. Not being able to get in closing distance. The same counts for Conor France. The leader has almost got a second of a gap towards France. 7/10 it is now, so France will surely gain in the slipstream. But France has gained a position. P3 for France. P2 for France, P3 for Zoutewelle. Let's see if we can get a replay of that. The answer is yes. No, the answer is no. He's already passed Zoutewelle here. Bit of a shame. Fact remains, Zoutewelle stays in P3. Fight for P4 going on then. Porto Silva again working together almost with Jeremy Lefile just ahead of him in P4. What's happening up and down the field then? Marco Kegman in the Mercedes GT3. Ironically, driving in behind his teammate Ewald van Kruijsen for Schijfvlak Racing in the gold, yellow and blue Porsche GT3. Interesting to see two teammates in two different cars. Beautiful liveries nonetheless. Plated gold on the front ends. Well, let's see if they can become silver champion this season to actually make up for that gold livery. Van Kruijsen getting closer to the lone Ferrari Cas Heine in this championship. Oh, almost losing the car there in fact. At least he had a glimpse of it. What's happening more in front? Dennis Blocker in P11, driving behind Aiden Schweikert, the Aston Martin driver who we are seeing right here. Oh, there goes Dennis Blocker for a move, or at least eyeing up a move in turn 4. A lot of action happening here, and we've only raced 7 minutes in this 55-minute race. Still P11 though for the Porsche GT3 driver. Highest Porsche currently is Gian Zoutewelle. That says a lot, because after Gian Zoutewelle and then Dennis Blocker, the fastest Porsche is Ewald van Kruijsen in P17. A lot of strategy involved there, even though it doesn't seem like it. No, tire wear normally isn't that much of an issue in iRacing, especially not for these GT3 drivers. But certainly fuel saving for pit stops will be needed, unless they aren't going to make it. I doubt you can drive 55 minutes on the Red Bull Ring on one full tank of fuel, but we'll find that out very shortly, I suppose, within 55 minutes time. Fight for P15 and 14. Rick Postema inching closer to Jeremy de Boever. Jeremy de Boever in his Mercedes GT3, so it's Mercedes against Mercedes. And not see this a lot actually now, looking at it, a lot of drivers who are battling each other as there's a fight for P6 here, P5 and P6. Jan Zoutewelle has made a costly mistake. He was running P3, he's now running P6. What has happened to Gian Zoutewelle? Is it the slowdown? Time will only tell. As a driver, Magnus Skjorstad in his McLaren, apparently has lost it. Now losing it through the last turn, coming back on track. Oh, there was nearly so contact with the driver just behind him. Incredible scenes. As we go back to live feed here, let's see if there are any fights we can focus on. A fight for P12, Pedro Fernandez trying to attack the car ahead, Aiden Schweikert. Can he cut back? Though he can, out of turn 3, needs to do it on the outside of turn 4. That's ambitious, it's doable. It's too ambitious for Pedro Fernandez in this case. Maybe with good traction out of turn 4, out of turn 5. It's a mission too bold for now. To get that P11 from Aiden Schweikert in the Aston Martin, driving ahead of him. A lot is happening here, and we've only driven 10 minutes in this championship, in the very first round of this DTM championship here at NXTGP. Conor France is inching closer and closer to the back of Tommy Razayer for the lead. Or is there a bigger picture at play for the 54 driver here today? Is he fuel saving, lift and coasting before the corner, making use of that slipstream that he holds compared to the Frenchman in front of him? There's a Ford Mustang right in front of Tommy Razayer. He won't pick up the slipstream of that Mustang yet, but that might become crucial for fuel saving in the early stages of this race. Little battle going on here for P5, 6 and 7. Gian Zoutewelle driving behind Hughes. Driving in front of Sam Kortlever in the Aston Martin. As a matter of fact, Hughes is inching probably more closer to the Spanish driver of Porto Silva. See if Hudson Hughes can... Well, let's see if he can improve position. Conor France has a penalty. You can see at the left top, the yellow flag is a penalty. 1 second slowdown, but Hughes goes for the move, takes P4 of Porto Silva. The Spanish driver didn't want to fight it, lifted off early enough. But meanwhile, there's a fight for P7 as Gian Zoutewelle drops a position down more. P7 now for the man who was running P3 earlier in this race. And now look at this. Because of the penalty, France, the gap is 2.3 seconds to Tommy Razayer. A very costly mistake there. We don't have a replay of it, sadly. But this is going to be absolutely crucial for the win in this race. Conor France, driving for 54 Racing, getting a penalty at a very costly time. He needed to get that slipstream, he needed to stay in a slipstream, probably for fuel saving, or just to keep up with Tommy Razayer, and now he's lost it. Needs to claw back 2.5 seconds at least to get the slipstream back. It's now a case of who's faster on the raw speed. Will it be France or will it be Tommy Razayer? France, who's also driving in the gold category. It's not showing behind his name, but I can assure you he is driving for the gold category, gold class. Conor CK France is. I need to know what CK stands for the next time I'm going to broadcast a stream with Conor France. Let's see what Sam Kortlever can do, inching closer to Porto Silva, the Mercedes driver who's just lost a place already. Let's look on board with Sam Kortlever. See how he attacks the last sector of the Red Bull Ring behind the Mercedes GT3 of Porto Silva. Well, commentators also need to hydrate, and that was one last final sector of the Red Bull Ring on board with Sam Kortlever as we jump back to the TV screens. Tommy Razayer improving his lead, currently 3.3 seconds. He's gained roughly almost a second this lap already compared to Conor Franse. There we see the leader. Let's see what's going on up and down the field. Fight for P17. P17 and P16. Jan Schoneveld with a not so streamlined McLaren GT3 front end. Not a popular choice these days, the McLaren GT3. Isn't being favored by BOP in the slightest these days in the iRacing GT3 scene. Jan Schoneveld driving in P17, right in the midfield. We started this race with 37 drivers. I think we still have 37 drivers racing. Perhaps a little bit less. It appears Ruud Lopez is out of the race, as well as Laurens den Oude. As well, the live timing can get a bit hectic with so many drivers, it appears. Marco Kijkman, anyways, in P16 has lost touch with his teammate Ewald van Kruijsen, who's driving in P15. Oh, Aiden Schweikert going off track there, probably ending up in the wall as well. Getting back on track, needs to do so safely. That appears to be the case. Let's see what happened to Aiden Schweikert if we can catch a replay. There we go, embattlements with a Mercedes GT3, a Lamborghini GT3. What's happened here? Oh, just contact with a Mercedes, with a Lamborghini GT3. Which one that was? It might have been Navarro de Boever, but I can't pin you. I think it is Navarro de Boever, so race control will definitely have a look on that incident. That's a shame for the man who was driving pretty well in the midst of the top 10. Crashed out, probably with damage as well. Aiden Schweikert dropping down the field, now currently in P18. See if he can recover a little bit. We have quite the group here battling. Michael Smith in P20 as well, my Delta appears to be doing fantastically, so we'll just ignore that. Hudson Hughes currently in P4, chasing down Jeremy Lafile. I probably need to pronounce it more French than I'm doing right now, but probably next time. The Australian driver in the Aston Martin GT3. In that Aston Martin GT3, already alongside the Mercedes GT3 that was driving in front of him just moments ago. Now going side by side in towards turn 3. Doesn't appear that the Frenchman on the right wants to let this position go. Maybe switch back, as it's also Porto Silva and Sam Kortlever battling for position there. But Jeremy Lefal played that smart and switched back on his turn now on Hudson Hughes. And so P3 will maybe remain in hands of that Mercedes GT3 driver. The answer is yes, as he prevails the attack from Hughes Hughes just behind him. Fantastically well calculated by the Frenchman. But will it hold their progress of perhaps driving towards Conor France, or at least driving away from this group? Especially fighting in the Red Bull ring only gains you so much and loses you even more in the long run. Hughes now looking on the inside, probably trying to scare the Mercedes in front of him. That's definitely an off track. I think you can get 17 here in this DTM championship here at NXTGP. But still, Jeremy Lafille in P3, as maybe Sam Kortlever is eyeing up, at least. He is Porto Silva. It's a Mercedes leading from an Aston Martin, a Mercedes, and then an Aston Martin again in this fantastic battle here for the last podium position. Sam Kortlever being the Aston Martin, now going for a move actually down the inside of Porto Silva in turn 2. Oh, there's contact between Gian Zoutewelle and Porto Silva, but they managed to survive. But that was a great overtake by Sam Kortlever. As they now all approach turn 3, Kortlever defending from Porto Silva needs to do so. And that domino effect creates that Gian Zoutewelle might be able to gain a little bit of ground on Porto Silva. As the battle for 4th now, or for 5th I should say, because Sam Kortlever is driving in P5. Erupts for a moment and then calms down for a second. You can see two Ford Mustangs of Kenny Hellemans and Romano Lu, two teammates, getting closer and closer to this group. Not doing anything wrong, just consistent laps between teammates for Vortex Racing. The number 37 and number 3 working together well. And they might be able to profit from all the fighting that's going on in the group just ahead of him. And now Hudson Hughes again, after increasing the gaps to Sam Kortlever, now on the back of the Frenchman once more. Can he try and overtake the Frenchman once more down the inside of turn 2, braking roughly at the 100-meter board, getting down the inside, side by side they go. Who gets the traction down first? The answer is Jeremy Lafille again. And so Hudson Hughes has a really tough time of passing that Mercedes. And as a result, the group behind him coming closer and closer once again. Now maybe Sam Kortlever wants to say something about this, because they are losing time constantly to the man in front, Conor France. Fans of Porto in the chat, glad you guys seem to be enjoying it. We have more competitions who aren't finished just yet here at NXTGP. I name Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland, who's just had its penultimate round last Thursday. And now their last race is going to be driven on the Hockenheim, which will also be driven this Thursday. And that championship is going to conclude. Man who's currently leading that championship. We saw him just in the background, Dennis Blocker in P10. Ironically enough, also running a Porsche GT3 for this championship. So, you know, Porsche ambassador when for Dennis Blocker. Who knows, maybe he can awake something this championship. Gian Zoutewelle has seen enough and decides to go to P7. Side by side he went with Porto Silva in turn 2. And now in towards turn 3, does he have to like the Porsche GT3? Does Gian Zoutewelle have the confidence in towards turn 3 to overtake the Spaniard on the outside? Almost losing control there, Porto Silva, but being able to keep the car on track. And now a Mercedes GT3 is there, who's ironically teammates of the two Fords just in front. Oh, well, now indeed in front of the Mercedes. I'm not sure who that is. Could be the Mercedes of, well, there would be will be only my guess, but these two fourths are getting closer to Porto Silva, the Spaniard who was driving, if I recall, in the top 3 not a while ago, running P7 so far. Risk of being demoted to P8 isn't that far away. There goes the man, Sam Kortlever. Oh, contact as well between Jeremy Lefal and Sam Kortlever. As Kortlever went down the inside, smelled the opportunity, and there he goes. See if we can get a replay of that soon. Oh, there goes the Frenchman once more in turn 3. A beautiful move. Contact between the drivers again. It's kicking off here for P4. Gian Zoutewelle gets past as well. This is a chance for Spanish driver Porto Silva to finally get a position once more, getting himself up to P5 after a relatively stagnative middle part of this race. Porto Silva P6 indeed. Gian Zoutewelle, or at least Sam Kortlever, on the attack, and that attack gets rewarded by a lot of emotions there. See if we can get a replay of that. This is Gian Zoutewelle getting the move done. Well, it was relatively easy, and there he goes, passing Jeremy, actually Sam Kortlever. Two very similar liveries if you're broadcasting and commentating at the same time. Blue is blue, but a different blue. Some Kortlever, can he get a position back now? Porto Silva in P6, trying to get down the inside, aggressively weaving both of them. Oh, there's a Mercedes in front of them, who's on cold tires, who just exited the pit lane, and that's the perfect opportunity for Sam Kortlever to get that position back from Porto Silva. Oh, absolute drama for Porto Silva, and the Mercedes needs to get out of the way right now as well, because, well, the number 20 Mercedes has no reason to be with these drivers. I'm talking about Richard Martens, the bronze driver, and I think he's getting out of the way now. But well, Porto Silva will probably say, well, that's a tad too late, mate. No appreciations from me here today. Let's see if we can have a little bit of a replay. If I can't find it, some Kortlever then. As Porto Silva needs to remain stable here. This is the replay then. A lot of aggression there, but look at the Mercedes just coming in front. Perfect timing for Sam Kortlever. Around the outside, he's not past the one car. Technically, he's past two cars. Fantastically done by Sam Kortlever. Porto Silva won't appreciate it though. So that's a lot of traffic they have to manage in this DTM championship. That's a risk within this championship. Slower bronze cars needing to be aware from the faster gold drivers on this fabulous track. Lots of history of course. A lot of up and down, a lot of elevation change on this track. A lot of history as well, dates back to 1969 when the first races were being held here in Austria at the Red Bull Ring. Obviously it's being used in MotoGP, but there it runs a little chicane, which these CT3 drivers thankfully aren't running. For MotoGP though, is fantastic. Jeremy Lefile still in touching distance with Hudson Hughes in P3, inching closer because of that slipstream. 8 tenths now, 9 tenths now, needs to keep the throttle in there to keep the slipstream. That's oh so important. 31 minutes we have raced here, so a little over halfway we've driven here, and a lot of action has come our way today, especially at the front, but surely at the back as well. Can't really obviously show you all the action here as we will be switching from car to car, from back and to the front again. Let's see at the back of the pack then, Liam Mulder in P22 in the Rexy Porsche GT3. Do we have any fights behind there? This is Johan Pollerhuis. So I think all the way from P19 or P21 have already been lapped. That's obviously huge, as the timing tower wants to sort itself out once again, doing his best, focusing up the top 8 then. A lot of drivers appear to be out. Again, timing tower having a lot of fun here. Hudson Hughes again in P3 as we get back to the interval. Now, gap is still there between Jeremy Lefile and Gian Zouterwelle. Well, we have a big group here, P21, P22, Luca Metzler. And this is actually the battle, so Teija Frederiksen wanting to overtake Metzler in the Porsche on the left there. and the Lamborghini getting past there. There's a McLaren just behind that. That's Magnus Kjærstad in the McLaren GT3, the driver from Norway trying to get past the German driver in the Porsche GT3, getting held up there at the apex of turn 6. Technically this track is 9 turns, but as a matter of fact only 7 real braking zones, and that's 7 real turns who aren't flat out. But Kjærstad now getting closer to that Porsche GT3 of Luca Metzler. Doesn't get by him though, doesn't get by him, maybe in turn 2. A move down the inside maybe for the driver from Norway, the answer is no. And look at that, Conor Franse has already caught up to these two guys, so now needing to make swift work of his traffic management skills. Probably wanting to go down the inside already of Magnus Kjærstad, who's driving, well, somewhere in the top 20. And Kjærstad isn't really willing to get by or to give Conor Franse any way on his own initiative. And thus Franse has to do it by himself, losing time. 7.9 seconds is the gap to P1. Tommy Razayer absolutely dominant in this first race of the season. Well, let's hope it won't stay like this for the championship for the entire season, which is 8 rounds long. But Tommy Razayer 8.1 seconds. Well, fantastically done by the Frenchman, currently making his way up to the lone Ferrari and only Ferrari in this championship so far, excuse me. Currently driving P18, about to get lapped by P1. A lot of drivers coming in pit lane. No, that's not the timing tower freaking out. Well, it is freaking out for the moment. Let's see if we can sort that out next stream. But these are your first planned pit stop, really. Ewout van Kruijsen, Hudson Hughes, Gian Zoutewelle there as well. So that indicates to me that Conor Franse, Jeremy Leval, who we are seeing navigating a lot of traffic, now is the time that a lot of GT3 drivers need to navigate slower traffic as best as possible. It really looks like an endurance race in GT3 machinery here, but we've only driven 36 minutes of the race, and already a lot of front-running drivers need to lap these drivers who are obviously running at the back end of the field, and that will cost a lot of lap time. But it can also gain you a lot of lap time. Depends a little bit. Oh, that's tight between Jeremy Leval and the 917 Porsche just in front of him. Can the Frenchman finally pass? I think that's the 917 Porsche. That's Andreas, the man who is seeing here, Andreas Lellempsis. Well, the Frenchman thinks, I've had enough of this, and I'll go in pit lane, as well as the leader. Conor Franse is staying out in the number 7 Aston Martin GT3, and thus trying an overcut, maybe to get some time back from Tommy Razayer. We'll only have one stop here at the Red Bull Ring, as we have almost only 15 minutes to go in this first round of the championship. Conor Franse, in any case, staying out here. I touched upon the 8-round championship. Again, it's the exact same as the DTM championship. April 21st, the day we are on now, will be driven on the Red Bull Ring. After that, we will go to the likes of Zandvoort, Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. We even have Brands Hatch in the calendar, and many more legendary tracks like the Nürburgring and the Hockenheimring we will visit to in this classic German championship. And currently, not provisionally, Conor Franse is leading that German championship here at NXTGP. Will he go into pit lane? No, he'll stay out for just a moment. Let's see where the... oh, he won't stay out actually. I thought he was staying out, but he's coming in pit lane. Now he needs to tank. He can tank one lap less than Tommy Razayer. Trust me, that won't make a difference on the lead of this race, as Tommy Razayer had a very quick pit stop there. Staying out means gaining places. Jan Schoeneveld staying out, benefiting just a little bit, just for the moment. Oh, Seb Kortlever down the inside of Pedro Fernandez. And thus gaining a place. Good overtake by Sam Kortlever there. Let's see if we can get a replay of that, if I can find it. Probably not. Well, fantastic move in the background anyway. Pedro Fernandez, who we haven't talked about much, teammate of Porto Silva, again teammates with different cars. Interesting to see, at least also going with the name of VSR competition. We can see in the bottom left, Porto Silva behind Gian Zouterwelle has had a turbulent race. The Spaniard has. Was in P9 for a while, finds himself in P5 right now, as the race is slowly but surely coming to a close here. But the race is not over yet. I can see a little bit of damage, I think, on the rear end of Porto Silva, or was that just my imaginary? There's a little bit of damage on the rear left, and you can see Hudson Hughes gaining a lot on the Spaniard as well. Perhaps that's the cause of the damage. Oh well, it causes the damage a little bit. Going slower. Getting damage causes you to go slower, which is straightforward. But how Porto Silva got that damage is yet unknown. Gian Zouterwelle on the inside of the Frenchman. Well, Jeremy Lefal has had a lot of people down the inside of turn 2 in this race already. Now he also has Gian Zouterwelle thinking, well, I need to overtake you, let me try it in turn 2 as well. On the inside of turn 3 here, Gian Zouterwelle is. Jeremy Lefal in the red Mercedes was on the outside, has lost that position, most definitely now. Or can he try it around the outside of turn 4? Nearly impossible. Oh my god, he's done the switchback. There's contact as well. That was an amazing move by the Frenchman. I was really surprised he could pull that off. I need to see a replay if there was anything of contact between the drivers there, but incredible move by Lefal. He's not away from Gian Zouterwelle though, as Zouterwelle is still in P4, couple of tenths behind Jeremy Lefal, but behind Zouterwelle again is Hudson Hughes. A lot of drama, a lot of action here at the front, keeping us entertained. Coming through turn 1, Hughes not thinking of an overtake, thinking the better of it, maybe wanting to see how this is going to play out in the future. Time is ticking though, almost only 10 minutes left in this 55-minute long race. Braking towards turn 2, exiting turn 2, back on towards turn 3 again. We'll get the timing tower sorted out for next stream. Sadly, like I always say, when you're streaming and you're doing something technical, technology is almost made to be broken. What can be broken will be broken, so sometimes the overlay can break as well. battle for P3 has dialed down just a little bit. Australian driver Hudson Hughes losing a bit of time. Porto Silva qualified P6, still in P6, so he'll be roughly satisfied with his race so far probably. Maybe he can gain some positions in the latter stages of the race. See if we have any fights up and down the field then. Matej Pirog, P28, Terje Frederiksen in front of him, P27. In front of those it's going to be Andreas Lelempsis and Liam Mulder on the at the head of this pack in the pink Rexy GT3 livery. Always fun to see a Rexy livery running. Nearly impossible to miss as we advance to the higher positions in the field. Almost only 10 minutes to go. It's almost certain who is going to finish P1 and P2. But it's definitely not certain who will finish P3 here on the Red Bull Ring today. Fight for P5 isn't over yet. We're staying with these couple of guys for just a moment longer. Coming in towards turn 1, coming on towards the back straight into the Niki Lauda curve as the last pit stops are being made, I think. Oh, there goes Hudson Hughes! Just wrongly off the curb. Oh my god, contact between, I think that's Sam Kortlever as well. Absolute drama for the Australian driver. That's a huge, absolutely huge incident. We'll get a replay of that on board with Hudson Hughes. Just losing it, I think, on just wrongly touched the curb there. And not really even touching the barrier there, but making contact with Sam Kortlever. Absolutely horrific for Kortlever, but also for Hudson Hughes. Don't think we have a replay. Maybe this is indeed Kortlever's view. Oh, let's hope he doesn't have suspension damage. He might have had though, but that's a big hit. And that's Aston Martin GT3, who's kind of turned into an Aston Martin GT4 there. But that's certainly race over for Hudson Hughes. I have no clue how Hughes is keeping it on track. He has a meatball flag. You can, the flag at the top left, the black flag behind Hudson Hughes' name. Certainly that's a meatball flag instead of a penalty flag. Surely he must come in pit lane. And he does so. So catch your breath, but that's an incredible incident. So unfortunate for the Australian driver. That could have been a lot worse for other drivers as well though. I think Sam Kortlever, apparently he has no damage. Now this can happen. This can happen with iRacing, that damage sometimes just rebounces and doesn't get registered by iRacing, and does suddenly you have no damage, which is incredible. But Sam Kortlever, you know, might want to thank God for that. With only roughly 8 minutes left in this very first round. A round absolutely filled with action to the brink. And I want to touch on Lucas Romanulu, +3 positions so far in the Ford GT3, playing it fantastically smart. We haven't really seen the driver of RP Motorsport. And that's probably a good thing if you're the number 3 driver of the Ford Mustang. The man who's gained a lot of positions is, well, it doesn't, no, he's not in P10, that's just my overlay. Certainly, Pedro Fernandez. He didn't have the greatest of qualifying. P6 now he is, or P8, and he's gained 6 places. Fantastically done so far by the Lamborghini GT3 driver, and maybe he can even pass Sam Kortlever for good measure. Side by side, a fight for P3 here. Gian Zoutewelle on the outside, Jeremy Leval on the inside, door banging between the drivers. The Frenchman on the inside wanting to do everything to get that P3 secured. Now Porter Silva in the orange Mercedes can get to this fight as well. Maybe he has something to say about the end result of the podium. Jeremy Leval still on the inside, Gian Zoutewelle in the white and blue car on the outside. Side by side they go through turn 3, still not losing touch with each other, still side by side for the entire lap here. Surely it's going to end in turn 4. Jeremy Leval, maybe a switchback is doable, he's done it before, can he do it again? No, Gian Zoutewelle takes P3 for now. But with 6 minutes to go, that's roughly 3 laps. Oh, going onto the gravel there. Too much of an entry speed, and that's going to cost him dearly because Jeremy Leval has just overtaken Zoutewelle. And now Zoutewelle needs to look in his rear view mirrors. Oh my god, there was also almost contact as Leval wanted to get back on track, and now Gian Zoutewelle gets back again for P3. Porter Silva can finally overtake Leval. He's waited, he's been patient. Surely not on the inside of Zoutewelle. Yes, an amazing fight here as Porter Silva manages to get P3 in an amazing turn of events. What a move from the Spaniard there. But the move is not over. The fight for P3 is not over. Again door banging. 3 wide coming in towards turn 2. Surely this won't end well as the French driver overtakes 3 cars. Oh, you can't make this up. You cannot make this up as the French driver in the Mercedes GT3. His name, Jeremy Leval. Fantastically done there. Gian Zoutewelle losing a position once more as it all is kicking off in the dying stages of this first race here in this DTM championship. Gian Zoutewelle wanting to get that P5 back on the inside of Wurf. On the inside still getting that P5 finally. And so maybe he can chase to Porter Silva, but what was P3 for a moment has been turned into P5 for Zoutewelle. Alright, catch your breath because Sam Kortlevers is at the back of Lucas Romano Lu. And maybe he has something to say about that P6 in the end. 4 minutes remaining, there's roughly 2 laps. Maybe we'll get 3 laps in here at the Red Bull Ring if Tommy Razair is quick enough. Going through turn 1, still in P7 Kortlever, doesn't appear to be able to make a move. Down the inside maybe, with the help of some slipstream. In the Aston Martin has a little bit of a look. None opportunity so far for Kortlever. Now you could almost write a whole book about the fight, the entire the entire P3 up until position P9 have. Absolute scenes here at the Red Bull Ring. Gian Zoutewelle inching closer and closer to the Spaniards right in front of him. On board with Gian Zoutewelle. I touched upon the damage later in this race a little bit. That's, well, you can see the rear fender, the rear left, being ducked in a little bit of the Mercedes right in front of him. P4 for Porter Silva would be great. 2 positions gained compared to his qualifying position. Coming in towards turn 1 on board with Gian Zoutewelle. What's going to happen here then? P5. Probably not a lot. The gaps just are a little bit too big to be able to make a move of any sort in towards turn 2. Lot can happen, but a lot can happen for the lead, but probably won't. As I hope I haven't just cursed Tommy Razair, but he's 12 seconds in front of Conor França, being absolutely dominant here at the Red Bull Ring today. The average lap is around 1 minute 29, so this will be the very last lap for Tommy Razair after completing this lap. So he's coming through the last turn now, over start finish, to start his final lap of this first round in the NXTGP DTM Championship. But it's not over yet for everyone almost everyone within the top 9. Porto Silva might be able to claw back to Jeremy Lefal in one lap. It's going to be a hard task, but it's certainly possible here with what we've seen already here at NXTGP. Gian Zoutewelle still in P5. It's Lucas Romanulu in the fourth, who has eyes on Zoutewelle, but probably needs to look in his rear view mirrors, because there is Sam Kortlever. That is the main fight here. That is the main story of the race. P3 up until P8 as Dennis Blocker has gained the position. Not sure how that happened. But this is the story of the race as we almost go to Tommy Razair again. He's almost crossing the finish line already here at the Red Bull Ring to take the very first win of the season, and his first win of the season as well. His first win at NXTGP, as a matter of fact. Well, he took pole in quali, only one lap he hasn't led, and he pitted one lap earlier than Conor Franse. He comes across the line with a 12-second lead to win the first race of the NXTGP DTM Championship here at the Red Bull Ring. And Conor Franse for Fiercely Forward Racing is going to be probably rather disappointed by his P2. See if he can fight for the win next time around at May the 19th. Jeremy Lefal, after everything, taking a P3 home for the Frenchman. Porto Silva gets P4 after an amazingly turbulent race for him. Gian Zoutewelle takes P5 after being and driving P3 so long in the beginning stages of this race. Is going to be Romano Lu in P6, who's coming across the line. Kenny Hermans gained a place, and Ewout van Kruijsen in P11 gained 11 places in this race. Fantastically done, hugely done as a matter of fact, by the Schijfvlak Racing driver Aiden Schweikert. Oh, he's a drive-through for too many off-tracks. Finishing in, that probably is P12. Marco Kerkman finishing his race in P13. Also gained 8 places here. As I need to go back to Ewout van Kruijsen, because he's the highest silver rated driver, and thus wins in the silver category this time around. And as far as my delta is correct, Andreas Lelempsis has won in the bronze category. But what a fantastic first race. I think everyone's almost finished already, as we will get to the results then of this race. What a race, what a first race we've had, and we still have 7 races to go after this. Absolute madness here at the Red Bull Ring we have just witnessed, as we are going to the final results here, as there probably won't be a change in the lead, especially probably not when, maybe when a penalty comes in place. It's going to be Razair in P1, followed by Conor Franse in P2, with a 14.3 second gap to the winner of this race. Lefal will finish on the final podium spot, and thus in P3, followed by Porto Silva in P4. Gian Zoutewelle will finish in P5, followed by Romano Lu. Sam Kortlever, he had some action up and down the field as well, but ultimately finishing in P7. Spaniard Pedro Fernandez will finish in P8, followed by Dennis Blocker, your current Porsche Supercup Deutschland NXTGP Championship leader. Hermans in P10, Ewout van Kruijswijk finishes in P11, followed by Kerkman, Wijs Schoneveld, Huis Heine, Schmid en Postema in P18. Then we go to the rest of the grid. Skuurstad in P19, De Boever in P20, followed by Zwijkert, followed by Jeremy De Boever, perhaps related, in P22, followed by Niklas Lelempsis, who takes the bronze victory here today at the Red Bull Ring, followed by Frederiksen, Pirog, Metzler, and Hughes. Then to the final positions on the finishing order. Guus Franke in P28, followed by Martens, Lopez, Hahuri, Polonus, Zwemmer, Gebuis, Mulder and Ouden, if I'm correct, rounds off the field in P37. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an amazing race. Amazing first race of the season, and I'm quite sure the second one at the Circuit of Zandvoort will be even just as eventful. That will happen at May the 19th, and that will be the second round in this 2026 DTM series here at NXTGP. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube if you liked, and be sure to keep an eye on our socials for all the official results and the upcoming races once more. My name was Daan van Zutphen. I will be there next race, and thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.